Elegie number 1 by Rachmaninov, Opus 3. This is what he wrote when he was just a teenager, incredibly. So I'll begin by playing for you the first 10, 15 seconds of music, and then we'll go bar, 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 and as usual, break it apart so that you can learn it yourself. Here's what the music sounds like at the start. All right, so the first thing is that the piece is actually quite regular, 4/4 time. So it's very measured and very easy to learn from that point of view. But it is an E flat minor, so lots of black notes to take advantage of here. That's what we're going to start with, and we're going to start in the left hand. Most of the difficulty, at least for the beginning of this piece, is going to be in the left hand. So let's get that under our belt first. We begin with an octave E flat in the bottom. You can play this with a 4 and a 1, or a 5, 4 and a 1, or whatever's comfortable. Usually I use a 4 and a 1 here. Then it's very wide. It's basically just an E flat minor chord that's been spread out, spread out across half the keyboard. That's really all it is. 5, 2, pivot on 2. To reach the E flat, thumb, then across the thumb to a B flat up top, second finger, and back down the exact same way. And then the next bar is the same. Now, what's important about the technique here is that all of the movements are integrated and smoothed out so that there's no jagged movement as you're going from note to note. Everything is kind of like under one umbrella of movement. First towards the right as you're ascending, and then towards the left. That way everything is, there's nothing that sounds out of place or sticks out unnecessarily. And to achieve that, you'll have a few things to think about. The first is, of course, this opening octave from which we leave, kind of almost like throw yourself into the air, not too high up, just a reasonable amount. And then 3 notes that follow it are basically one grouping. They're very far apart, but if you're moving towards the right, they should feel as though you can kind of play them on the way. If you're not used to wide chords, especially on black notes, you might slip a little bit, you know. That's okay. You'll get used to it. Single movement to the right. Then when you go across, what you don't want to do is connect the thumb. Don't try and keep the thumb until the B flat, because then it'll force your hand to have to contort and go over in this way so that your hand is facing right. Don't do that. I think it's an unnecessary wrinkle in your technique, especially since the pedal is down. It's not really helpful. So when you hit this thumb, you kind of let it go and float over it like this. And that allows you to arrive on the B flat with the second finger without any contortions. And your thumb is more or less in the vicinity under my hand, right? It looks like this. It's still roughly in the same place, so coming back to it isn't too hard. As you can see, all of my movements are smooth, singular, and integrated. So take as much time as you need to learn this, because this type of technique is everywhere. It's going to be in all sorts of, different combinations and constellations, and every one of them employs the same technique, the one that I just described to you. So learn the opening segment really well so that you can employ this technique wherever you find it, and you can, if it's well learned enough, you can use most of your energy in learning the notes, learning the positions, learning the fingerings. All right, So back to the piece. We know that the first bar finishes here. The second bar is identical. The third bar is also identical. And in the middle of that third iteration is where the right hand comes in with its first melodic note, but we'll do that later. Okay, so we have 3 of them. The piece begins in pianissimo, but that's kind of an overarching pianissimo. What I would suggest you do is play the opening bar a little louder, maybe like a mezzo forte even. And then the next one is a little bit softer, like you're getting further away. And then the third one is softer still. And that will leave enough space for this melodic note to kind of differentiate itself from the left hand so that it really sounds spacious. That's what we're after here. Okay, so that's 3 bars of the same thing. So third time. Now moving into the 4th bar. Finally, something changes. In the 4th bar, we begin with the same E flat. We have kind of a pedal point E flat here. And then that's our next position. And this plus a pedal point sounds so rich and gloomy and delicious, doesn't it? So that'll be 5, 2, 1, across, same kind of technique, back down the same path. And there you have it. There's your 4th bar. Moving on, bar 5. So as you can see, bar 5 is the same as bar 1, 2, and 3. So that's easy. Next, bar 6. Another E flat, but then we have an E flat dominant 7. So 5, 2 is now on G natural, right? You're expecting it to be here, right? That's what we've done so far, but this time it's on G natural, 2nd finger, thumb on D flat, across to a G natural, and back the same way. One more time. And this secondary dominant will lead us into another harmony. So that's bar 7. So from here, we will then finally change the beginning of the bar to an A flat. And it's not an octave, right? It's not like this. It's one note after the other. Bottom first, then the top. Next. 5, 2, 1. Back the same way. Single, smooth, integrated movements. Moving on, next bar, it's going to be a B flat. And what I would like you to notice is the relationship between the last note of the bar you just learned, so that would be this thumb, A flat, and then the 4th finger on B flat down below, right? It's almost an octave, but make sure that the relationship between the bars are really well learned. That's usually where people will fall apart. So from here to B flat, make sure that's well learned. That is now bar 8. So from here, 4, 1. So 4, 1, 5, 3, 1. Back down the same way. And as I'm teaching this to you, as you learn it bar by bar, stop the video, pause the video, and put everything together, and then just add the next bar, and then put everything together, then add the next bar. This way, everything is equally well learned, right? Everything is contextualized. All right, so we move on now to bar 9, which would be the last bar of this section that I'm teaching you. C flat or B natural. So again, make an effort to notice what the transition is. So B flat to B natural, and that is now the beginning of bar 9. Next, octave. So that would be 5, 1, 5, 3, 1. Back the same way. All right. Take your time, pause, practice as much as you need, and here it is all through, bars 1 through 9 with no pauses, all stitched up, but slow. And there you have it. Learned that extremely well. I'm telling you, this is all the difficulty is here in the left hand. The right hand is easy. So learn that super well. Assuming now that you did learn it well, here is the right hand. So I'll just give you the notes, and then it'll be much easier to just align the notes in the right hand with the left. So like the left will give you the scaffolding over which you can place your melodic moments. So 4 to start. Hold, hold, hold. 3. Next. 1 on D. 2, 3, 2. There's your first phrase. Easy enough, right? Next. 1, 3, 4. It's a bit of an unusual fingering, I'll admit. Probably haven't, if you're not really used to playing piano, that might be a little unusual, but it is a good one. And then 5, 4, 3. Hold, hold. Next, lift. 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. And now you've caught up with the left hand. That's bars 1 through 9. So now we put them together. Pause the video, learn the right hand, memorize the right hand. I would suggest, of course, I guess if you can read, you can follow along, but make sure it's well learned. And then here is how they interact. So as you know, the first 2 bars are empty for the right hand. So the left hand starts us off with this intro, first bar. Second bar, also empty. And now on the third bar, when you get to the top of this open chord, this is where the hands play together. Left hand continues while the right hand holds. And that's the next moment where they align. Left hand second finger A flat with right hand F. Together. far, so good. Moving on. Alone and then together. Together. So these two notes, we just kind of split them against these two quick notes, 16ths in the right hand. So. And then back the same way. And there's your first phrase. Stitch it up. Together, together. Smoother still. There you have it. And then we'll continue into the next part of the tutorial where we start putting things together for the next few bars. And then, of course, into the rest of the piece we go. You can find the rest of the tutorial series on my website. And you can start a free trial to give it a go. So I'll see you in part 2. See you soon.